You are now listening to Protecting Your Nest with board-certified family medicine and obesity medicine specialist Dr. Tony Hampton. For more, visit drtonyhampton.com. Welcome to the Protecting Your Nest podcast. We all have some basic needs to survive and thrive. Now, Abraham Maslow was an American psychologist who developed an hierarchy of needs to explain human motivation. His theories became the fundamental subject of the humanist movement. The most basic needs based on Maslow included things that are obvious to us like food, water, sleep, but believe it or not, the fourth thing that we have as a basic need is sex. So if you ever wondered why so many people are obsessed with sex, you now have an answer. It's a basic human need. Now, during previous episodes of the Protecting Your Nest podcast, experts I've interviewed include Brookhaven, urologist Dr. Judson Brandeis, and Dr. Tracy Gappin, who all shared their perspective. I'm sure I'm not surprised you know these guys.
I do.
But I must admittedly say that we did focus on men's health and a men's perspective. So today, as we focus on the R in the ROPE acronym, I wanted to make sure that the women also got some extra attention as I introduce today's guest. Today's guest is Susan Bratton. Susan is a sexual wellness and intimacy expert, author, and co-founder of Personal Life Media and The 20. You know, I really wanted her to join us today because so many people want to have better sexual health, but they simply don't know what to do. Clinicians like myself are not trained on sexual health. And I just think that we need some help in this area. So if we're going to truly protect our nest and our relationships, we need to make sure that we do just that. So with that, Susan, I welcome you to the Protecting Your Nest podcast.
Dr. Tony Hampton, I am so happy to be here with you. And actually, I kind of got a little thrilled when you said, let's talk about the ladies today, because you know, there's so much I could tell you about men and men's arousal and men's desire. There's so much I could tell you about the difference between the way the man's body works and the woman's body works. And that really is helpful. But just to have the opportunity to focus on the feminine, what she needs. And often when I tell women, when I paint the picture of what a woman needs, women say to me, oh my God, that is what I want. And I've never gotten it. I didn't realize it. And in all honesty, I think that's because through the media, the culture, just the way the world is working right now, we're in an era of what I would call patriarchal dominant sex. And the problem is that doesn't serve men either, because men aren't getting the quality and quantity of sex they want from their women in a lot of cases. Not to say that there aren't women who feel the same way, but it is more common that a woman doesn't want as much sex as a man. And I would like to make it such that she's chasing your tail for sex. It feels good. She wants it. She's scheduling dates with you. It's hot. It's passionate. She's completely and totally satisfied. She's bragging to her girlfriends. She's having sex in her 60s, her 70s, her 80s, and her 90s. She loves it. It provides and fuels her passion for life and her lust for life and her creativity. And she just feels like one of those incredibly well cared for, well-loved women. That's a very simple thing to create if you know what to do. But it's hard to find that information. And I'm one of the people who explains it. So I'd love to tell you some things.
Well, I absolutely love your passion, your energy. And let me tell you, we all deserve that. We all deserve to have a healthy sex life. And it is actually one of the best ways to relieve stress and to connect with the person that you love. And I want to thank you also for recording a couple of video shorts. I thought it would be a great way to introduce the podcast. And we talked about topics around, you know, how to make sure that men who want to be harder and bigger have a way to do that. So look for that episode on my YouTube channel. And then we also talked about how women can restore their vaginal health. So I just want to make sure I previewed that for those who are checking out this episode, whether it's through a podcast app on YouTube. And I think this is an appropriate topic because guess what? Valentine's Day is coming up real soon. So a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
things we talk about can be a gift to the person we love and to ourselves. So before we get started, Susan, many people, like in the world I live in with metabolic health, they find metabolic health because they had something that was going on in their lives.
Yeah.
My question for you is, how in the heck did you become this well-renowned expert for sexual health, and what led to that in your life?
Oh, in a nutshell, the intimacy was dying in my relationship because I didn't want sex with my husband because it wasn't good enough for me to want it. And we're like, why is that? Let's go learn about sex and figure it out. And we did. And we said, oh my gosh, it is so easy to have great sex if somebody just tells you what to do and how it works. And we really don't get a sex education. We get a procreation education. We get an abstinence education. We get a fear-based education about sex, but nobody teaches us passionate lovemaking techniques and bedroom communication skills. So it is the blind leading the blind out there, Tony. I mean, it is not good. It is pretty much the lowest level of friction. I always like to say that what I do is I transform friction into connection. My brand, if you will, of teaching is, and I run a publishing company. I publish passionate lovemaking techniques, heart-connected, conscious, communicative lovemaking techniques so that couples can have a lifetime of super hot sex, great fun, satisfaction with each other, and they feel like they're the luckiest couple in the world because they have this wonderful sex life together that fuels them and deepens their intimacy. And it's like their little secret world of pleasure and joy. And so when we did the shorts and we talked about how to reverse the atrophy of aging, how to fix the lubrication issues, the painful sex issues, the atrophy of the penis, the erectile dysfunction, that's the third leg of the stool. It's like, you've got to have some technique and some ideas of fun things to do. You've got to be able to talk about your sex life. And you have to have good working equipment. So we've kind of covered the good working equipment. And now we're into the, okay, tell me what techniques I need to know and how do we learn how to communicate in the bedroom? And those are really the big areas that really are like rocket ships to pleasure with each other.
It kind of sounds like a fantasy for a lot of people who are watching or listening, because maybe in their world, it's been 5, 10, 15 years since their sex life was anything close to what you're describing. And it's almost like this movie, this, somebody on a white horse that comes by and, does their thing. So it's obvious that there's a benefit of maintaining your sexual desires, but why do you think it's so important, as we age, to maintain that? Because a lot of people think, well, you get older, that you're not supposed to worry about that anymore. Why do you think it's so important?
Well, I think the people who think you're not supposed to worry about it anymore never really had great sex. Some people are lucky enough to find a partner that they've had great sex with, and they're like, I wish I could get back to that. And I always say, so one of my programs that I've created is called Revive Her Drive. And it's for men in a relationship who want more sex with their wife than they're getting, their wife or their partner than they're getting. And that's a very common thing. And the funny thing about it is that although it's called Revive Her Drive, like she's the one with the problem, because that's what he thinks. He thinks it's her libido. It's really not her libido. It's just that sex with him hasn't been that good. It hasn't been that great. And there is the issue of painful sex. There is the issue of illness. Those are other things, but those tend to be fixable, or you can find workarounds. So if it's that, we used to have sex and we don't because she's been ill and then we just stopped doing it, or he's been ill and we've just stopped doing it, or he's got intractable ED from unrelenting diabetes that he can't seem to remediate, and so we just don't even touch anymore, or what have you. The thing is that I have a technology, or like a technique for that. It's called the magic pill method. It's like, I want to give you the magic pill to fix your sex life. And what it is a structured conversation that you basically list. And this is free. You can get it at Magic Pill Method. So I won't go deeply into it because I like to hop over things. And then if you want me back, we can drill down. But the magic pill method essentially levels the playing field between partners, because there's always one partner that can out-talk the other one. And so the person who's like the not such a good talker is like, screw it, I'm not even going to get into the conversation. I'm just going to be miserable and grumpy because I know I'm going to lose. So I fix that with this structured communication technique that allows the both of you to get back on the table all the things you used to do that were fun, and still hold on to this small list of things that maybe you can't do anymore. But all of a sudden you go from doing nothing to having a whole bunch of fun things on the table, because it doesn't take a hard on to have great sex. It's nice if you have one, but it's not mandatory. There's tons of things you can do when you get creative, and you do all kinds of great things. So magic pill method is I think a really important thing. Revive Her Drive is really gets to the core of what it is that women want that they're not getting. And a lot of guys come back to me and they're like, oh, you tricked me. You made me think it was her problem when I realized it was me. And it's not really their fault. This is the thing I want to say about men. Men will give up their pleasure for their woman's pleasure. They love their women. They just want to make her happy. But they're also testosterone driven. They get up horny every day if they're healthy. They've got a morning wood if they're healthy. They have not nighttime erections. They're driven to masturbate because they need to top their sperm off. They're biologically wired to do that, where women are not so much. So we're not thinking about sex all day long as much as our guys are. And so we need our men to be the fearless leaders in the bedroom. But when we turn them down for sex and reject them for sex, they get bummed out, and then they feel like the victim, and then they check out of the relationship emotionally. And then she gets pissed off because they're emotionally gone, and then they're at a stalemate. And that's not a group. That's not a couple you want to be around. They're just picking at each other and yelling at each other, and it's no good. And that's what good sex does. Good sex makes you the couple everybody wants to be around, because you two are happy and touching each other and holding hands and loving and finishing each other's sentences and laughing at each other's jokes, and you have a twinkle in your eye. Yeah. So we got to get to that. And the way that you get to that is that you understand and get into a woman's world and how her body works, and that it isn't like yours as a man. And women don't even know how their bodies work. So I think the most important thing is, and I can go to this, or I can, I'll stop now and you take me where you want to take me. I'm here. I'm in service to you and your fans. So we can go there, or we can go wherever you want to go.
Yeah, I just think, I think men understanding that we all are knowledge deficient is important to say out loud, and that includes men and women. I mean, I spend my whole life trying to teach metabolic health, and one of the benefits of being metabolically healthy is that these things will get better, even just by doing that alone.
Yeah.
But then there's this other level, this other layer of information that we don't tend to get. I do want to ask you, I guess, real quick. I know there's like a website. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, OMG, yes.
So it's kind of supposed to be, the way it's advertised is evidence-based. So could you just briefly, is that one of the resources people should be looking at? Because I'm a scientist, so I'm thinking, is it evidence-based? What's been your experience with that?
Well, I think OMG Yes teaches sex techniques, and it's primarily an app. And so if you're app driven, that might be nice for you. It really depends. So I guess the way that I would like to structure it is that I would like to say that in reality, going back to how to get a woman to love having sex with you, and to the point where she's chasing your tail around the bedroom, is number one, understanding that she's not horny all the time like you are. And what she needs is, she's got much slower arousal cycles. So where a guy, it takes him a minute or 2 or 3 to get a full erection, it takes the female body 20, 30 minutes to get to full engorgement. We've got that same amount of erectile tissue that a man has in his penis inside our vulva. But we often, especially if sex hasn't been great for us, we rush to intercourse to get it over with. And that exacerbates the problem. And we never get engorged. We never start to have orgasms from intercourse. And so then we're like, we could take it or leave it. We're just giving you mercy sex. Just get it over with. And that is the worst thing in the world for guys. That's an ego crusher for guys. They don't want to take advantage of us. And so what I tell men is, instead of making offers for sex, think about your sex life like a smorgasbord, like you're going to increment your knowledge over time and learn a lot of skills together. And you're going to have a lot of things that you love to do together. For example, kissing each other while you're playing with your partner's breasts, and she has her hand on your manhood and she's gently playing with you and stroking you and enjoying you. And you stop and you look at her and you tell her how beautiful she is to you and how much you love her. And then you kiss her some more and fondle her breasts some more. And, like that's the kind of sex that women are looking for. It's not just what I call grab a boob and stick it in, right? That we don't want that. But men are like so goal oriented and so focused on the end game and so already turned on and ready to go. And they have an erection and they're like, where do I put this? And so women have never had, I'd love to give you a foot rub, and then I want to go down on you, but I want to set the pillows up so that you're completely comfortable. Are you warm enough? Let's put a blanket over the top of you. Can I play with your breasts while I go down on you? I'm going to kiss your thighs and your belly and your mons. I'm not just going to stick my tongue directly on your clitoral tip. Giving her a yoni massage. I thought tonight it would be fun if I just laid you down on the bed and I've warmed up the organic avocado oil. I always say with lubes, lubrications are, first of all, if you get a FemiWave, you won't need any lubrication because that thing makes you dripping wet, which I love. But if you need to have lubrication, and that is good, and there's nothing wrong with it, I like lube too. Then using an organic nut oil like sweet almond oil or avocado oil or jojoba oil are very good, because if you wouldn't put it in your mouth, don't put it in your vagina. Their vaginal mucosal systems, they absorb everything they touch, and you don't want to have lubricants they're FDA managed, and so they have to have preservatives in them. And even though they're supposedly all natural and everything, it's like, well, so's nut oil, and I could make my salad dressing with it too and be heart healthy. So I think that now if you use condoms, you can't use latex, but why are you using latex condoms anyway? Use polyethylene or polypropylene condoms. They can handle oil. And then with your sex toys, today's sex toys, they're made of very fine silicone, and you rinse them off and they stay good for years. So if you said to your woman, I'm going to lay you down and prop you up with pillows, make you totally comfortable, put on some candles and some music, get us a pitcher of water, a stack of fluffy towels. I've locked the bedroom door. The kids are gone. I put a sign out that said, Daddy's giving mommy a massage, go away.
Right.
And keep it down out there.
I love it. I love it. This is real life.
Real talk. And then you lay mommy down and you just start with her belly and you start with her thighs. And the whole time you're telling her how pretty she is and how good she feels and how nice she smells and how beautiful she is and how much you love her. And you slowly work your way. Here's what I teach guys: bullseye touch technique. Start from the outside circle and work your way in. Don't go for the creamy center right away. That's what you want. You want your penis touched immediately. But she does not want to be grabbed by the oh, no, 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 no. There's some really stupid people who do that we don't like at all, if you know what I mean. So the thing that you want to do is you want to stroke her hair, stroke her arms, stroke her back, stroke her butt, stroke her belly, stroke her chest, then touch her breasts, then kiss her face, give her little kisses on the lips. Then maybe after she's warmed up, you can start giving her beautiful vulva massage. And at first she's going to be like, I'm embarrassed. You can't look. And you are the masculine sexual leader. It is your job to be, baby, You got the prettiest little kitty I have ever seen in my life. I love the way it tastes, smells, looks, everything about it. It makes me so happy. Trust me when I tell you, you are absolutely perfect and beautiful. Now let me give you pleasure. Just lie down and let me love you. And when you start to learn how to really give a good genital massage and you're really pleasuring her yoni in beautiful ways, it starts to activate that tissue. It starts to send more signals to her brain. Her biggest sex organ is her brain. The more that you get that blood flow, and that's why taking Flow, the nitric oxide supplement, is so important for people over 40 or 50. They're not getting the blood flow down there anymore. So you got to get the blood flow down there. It's all about the vascular system with the lovemaking. Everybody thinks it's my hormones. I'm like, hey, if you're not getting any blood flow down there, it ain't just your hormones. You got to work on nitric oxide. So you love on her and you get the blood flow in there. And then all of a sudden that tissue's getting all plump and delicious and velvety. And it just feels exquisite. And when it's plump, it has more surface area. And as you touch that, you're sending massively more signals of pleasure to her brain. And then perhaps and because it's been natural oil, you take your soft, clean, dry towel and you pat, 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 and go down on her for a little while, use some fingers. Then she's going to be like, now I want you inside me. Now I'm ready. Let's talk about when mommy's ready, because, rushing her is just going to shut you down later. The more you offer her fun ideas for erotic play dates, the more you come up with things that aren't sex, which means intercourse, but are pleasure and fun, where she can just surrender and giggle and laugh and put on her sexy lingerie and her shoes that are so ridiculously high that she has to take them off to get out of bed and walk to the bathroom to pee. Like, that's fun. So I like to teach people to expand their thinking about what sex is. Sex isn't even, we'll have foreplay and then we'll have intercourse, because for women, foreplay is sex. We like all of that. And for men, it is too, when they get out of the mindset of just, the heat-seeking moisture missile getting to its destination. And they start to think, oh, this is playtime. This is our erotic play date. And so I put together something that I think might be of real interest. And I'd actually love you, and your wife's name is Karen?
Yes. It's pronounced Quran.
Quran. Okay, good. Quran. Beautiful. You and Quran, I'd love for you to do this sex life bucket list survey. It's not even a survey. It's like an assessment where you go to sexlifebucketlist.com. You download the PDF that I've created for you. There's 48 erotic play dates that I've listed on it. And you both have a copy of this. You print out 2 versions on your home printer and you go through it and you're like, okay, I'm going to have A's, B's, and C's. And A is, oh my God, I love this and I want this on my bucket list. This is something I've been wanting to do with Quran for like the last 20 years and we never got around to it. We've talked about it a few times and we've forgotten about it, and more times than we've talked about it. B's are, if it's on Quran's list, I'm going to give it to her. But it's not on my list, but if my girl wants it, she gets it. C's are, it's not for me right now. Maybe it would be in the future, because never say never. As you get older and you get more sexually mature, things you used to look at and think, I'd never do that. You're like, all of a sudden, you know what I was thinking?
Right.
So once you're done with your A, B's, and C's, and by the way, part of what I give you when I give you the download is I also made a video where it's like a little video workshop for couples and singles. You can do this as a single, where I walk you through all of the erotic play dates and I kind of paint pictures of what they could be like for you. So it's kind of a sexy turn on. And then you fill out your thing and then you compare notes and bam, you got your bucket list. Now it's not about having sex. It's about having fun. What are we going to learn together? Because couples that play together, stay together, especially the ones who do it in the bedroom. So I love the sex life bucket list, because what I've realized is that couples like techniques and they like communication skills and they sure like help fixing their genitals. But what they really want from me are fun bedroom ideas. And that's what keeps your sex life hot, slows you down, gets you learning together, beginning as beginners together, develops that new relationship energy and old monotony of monogamy relationships, and gives you like a renaissance of your sex life.
Well, what I love about all of the things you shared is that it provides a basic approach to how you can come from, where you are to where you want to go. And men and women, they just need tools. They need, and again, there's work involved. It sounds like there's work involved, but it sounds like it's fun work. And
Yeah.
we all want to figure out how to get to this beautiful place we're seeking. So I'm really excited about that. And yes, me and Karan will again, before we met and recorded this episode, I was telling you my wife was really excited to hear what you had to say. I think we
Yeah.
all are seeking a way to improve our sexual wellness and to know that there are things out there. Again, I'm still learning every single day. This podcast has been a gift for me because I'm
Yeah.
learning things that I would have otherwise not even thought of. And what's scary is what happens to the person who never really been, for whatever reason, just wasn't exposed to the information, just like that diabetic who never heard me show them how to reverse their type 2 diabetes, right?
Yeah.
So, and then they perish or they get sick or they have an amputation because they hadn't gotten information. So what's
No,
exciting,
I
it's just
know.
horrible. So
Yeah.
what's exciting about this
Yeah.
episode is that people will hear this and say, oh my God, there's hope. Men will say, oh, it's going to be some work, but I now have a path to help improve my sexual life with my partner. So I'm really excited about that. One of the things women, if I was a woman,
Yeah.
I would want my soulmate to know how to embrace me,
Yeah.
know how to hold me. I think us men
Mhm.
did not take that class. We do not know how to do that. So what advice would you give men who are trying to understand how to embrace their partner so that they feel loved?
Yeah, that's really the perfect question for Susan Bratton. I have one of my best-selling books is a book called Sexual Soulmates: The 6 Essentials for Connected Sex. Because over the last 20 years that I've been helping people from all over the world of all ages and all walks of life do to have better sex is to understand that we women need to be held, and we men, you men need to hold us. We need that polarity. We need that protection, that security, that love, that closeness, and that ability to generate oxytocin together so that number one, we feel more bonded. And number two, other people piss us off less.
Uh, yes, you better know it.
I'll tell you something, a couple good hugs a week and you're a lot less irked at the universe.
That makes a lot of sense. I know
And so
that's true.
the soulmate embrace really reverses this thing, and you can get this technique for free. It's a download at I got a download for everything,
Right.
don't I, Tony? That's what happens when you're old and you've been doing things forever. But you can download it at soulmateembrace.com. So I'll lead you through a bit of it. And then if you're like, now what was she saying again? You could just go to soulmateembrace.com and download the PDF. It's very small and short, and it has a few stories in it, but it also has these step-by-step directions on a single page for the guys. And that's all they want. They don't read no damn stories. So
You better know it.
I know my men. They're just like, tell me what to do. If it'll make her happy, I will do it. What page is that? 17.
That's right.
So I really do love men. I do. So I like to tease about them because they're just so damned adorable and predictable.
They are.
So
we are.
You guys are the best, though. I love you so much. My husband waited out in that parking lot in the rain for 2.5 hours while I took my girlfriend to her maternity checkup today while you were helping your daddy with his thing. So,
That's right.
God love him.
That's right.
So the soulmate embrace is normally when you would hold your partner, you would embrace her and she would get used to it. And then she would go, and you'd let her go because she relaxed. She was happy. But a soulmate embrace is a long, lingering hug, a lying down one, where you actually, and I recommend as a man that you put on your cotton pajamas or a t-shirt and your white tidy whities or whatever you got. But I like loose fitting pants, cotton pants, and a t-shirt because you dudes are scratchy. And I want you to hold us for a long time, and I don't want to be scratched. So it's not a sexual thing, it's a sensual thing. And what you really want to think about is that there's 4 kinds of touch. There's nurturing touch, like you'd hold a baby or give a massage. And healing touch. That's more the massage type of thing, healing touch. There's sensual touch. That's pleasurable. And then there's sexual touch. And in this case, we're really talking about the nurturing and sensual kinds of touch. We don't want you to get sexy on us yet. This is the beginning of foreplay type of thing. And the more you give your woman these kinds of holds, even on nights when you're not going to make love, the more love making you will get, because you're getting her back into her body and you're grounding her and you're rebooting her nervous system and you're calming her down and you're helping her get her emotions out. So here's how it goes. You lie down, you open your arm up, you let her crawl in beside you. I like to put a pillow on my husband's shoulder so that I'm up a little bit where my head is near his. And so I have the pillow right on top of his arm, and his arm is kind of under the pillow, and he's holding me and the pillow. And then I'm lying down, we're side by side up against each other and kind of facing each other or perpendicular. And then he's holding me and I'm just relaxing. I'm letting go and letting down. And he's just still. He's just present and he's still. And he could stroke my back a little bit. As I release air, he'll pull me a little closer. He maybe puts his hand on my sacrum, my lower back, and pulls me in a little tighter. It's loose and it's calming. And I'll notice that things will come up for me. I'll want to say, hey, this thing's been bothering me and I just want to talk about it for a second. And he'll be like, tell me everything. And he just listens and he lets me get things off my chest, and tears might come to my eyes. And that's good news, because that's the letting down. That's the prolactin being created, where it's like letting down. It's like when your breast milk starts to flow. Well, what happens when your eyes tear, your mouth may water. And when your mouth waters, that's actually a sign of turn on and relaxation, because arousal can't begin without being rooted in relaxation. Sure, there might be the random person out there who likes fight sex or danger sex or things like that. But the average bear, the big bell curve, we need to be calm before we can go up the arousal ladder. And so as our mouth waters, our vagina is getting lubricated. If there's a few tears, our vagina is getting lubricated. It's quite interesting. And so then as we got that off our chest, and you're just like, that's fine, baby. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest? I'm just right here for you. I'm just listening, sweetheart. You just keep on going. Tell me everything. I love you and I want to know. And she's like, well, there's one more thing. And she tells you that thing. There's always one more thing, Tony. And then she really relaxes. And then all of a sudden, she just kind of nestles in your arms more. And she's like, yeah, that's my big guy that I love. That's my man. He's got me. And all of a sudden she's like, oh, then her breasts start to feel a little, I don't know, like sensation, like they got the chills a little bit. And then you just start kissing her cheeks and kissing her eyelids and pecks on her lip. You're not making out with her. You're just activating those little lips of hers, waking them up, And then as her lips start to awaken, and she loves the butterfly kisses, you might kiss down her neck. Then you might just start stroking her arms and stroking her chest. You might start stroking her nice ass and her thighs and her beautiful belly. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh, I want to climb on top of you. I need to get a really good kiss. I need to get my tongue in your mouth. And then all of a sudden she's on top of you, making out with you, sticking her tongue down your throat. And you're like, oh, okay, well, that worked. And so what's nice about it is that it gave her time to let down, get out of her head, because estrogen dominance makes us monkey minds looking at a million things, making sure we're safe. Our masculine men, they're testosterone dominant. They're not worried about anything, basically. That's right. And they're right there holding space for us. And so when you reestablish that, masculine feminine polarity, and when you're just like there and you start feeling good and she's squeezing your bicep and she's like, that's when you can begin the next step, which is, baby, would you like to have a nice back rub or a sensual massage or a yoni massage? Would you like to kiss and I'll play with your breasts? And would you like my cock in your hand? And then you can start to accelerate to more and more things. And one of the last things that I will leave you with is that the yoni, the woman's vulva, yoni is a tantric lovemaking word for a woman's genital system, and lingam is the equivalent for his penis. When the yoni is on a lockstep system with the breasts and nipples and the mouth. So you can stroke her vulva from the outside and start to bring blood flow in. That's from the outside in, but from the inside out comes from kissing and breast and nipple stimulation. And that gets blood flowing from the inside out. So when you do both those things, you're getting her a full vulval or clitoral erection, which when you finally penetrate her, you can cross the gasm chasm, close the orgasm gap between how easy it is for a man to have orgasms from intercourse and how hard it is for a woman to, relatively. Most men come too fast. Most women can't quite get there. And so if you're having any trouble with your woman having lots and lots of orgasms from intercourse, try this technique. I'll leave you with this because I'm sure I've run out of time now, Tony. Can I give you one last technique?
Please do.
So this is an intercourse technique, and it solves the two biggest issues, which are she struggles to have orgasms from intercourse and he comes too fast, or he just wants to last longer so she can keep coming, right? And it's called thrust in time. Of course, it's at thrustintime.com because this is how I roll. And it's an ancient Taoist technique that I updated for the 21st century. And it's essentially a stroking pattern where at first you have to count in your head, and then you go from being consciously incompetent to unconsciously competent at it, and you don't have to think about it anymore. And the notion is that there are shallow strokes and deep strokes, or what I call short and long strokes. And you start on a count of 10 and you do 9 shallow strokes and 1 long deep stroke, and then 8 shallow strokes and 2 long deep strokes. And you do them very slowly, and you change the rhythm and pattern. But basically what it's doing is it's toggling the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system so that she's always reaching for a little bit more. So by the time you get to like 5 and 5, she's like, I need 6. And you're like, you're going to have to wait for it. And when you give her, she's like over the edge. You gave her what she needed. So it's a build and a reach and a deliver. And it is so nice. And I'll tell you, of all the techniques, and I got 30 more, all the techniques that I give away for free that I teach, Thrust in Time is the one where I get the most DMs and emails with the most exclamation points. Oh my God, exclamation points, 37 of them.
Really?
As the subject line, I'm like, oh, I bet this is a Thrust in Time person.
Oh my God.
Because it really feels so darn good to her, and you get to last and give it to her as long as she wants. It's so nice.
You know, the information you're sharing is so rich. I'm trying to, talk to you and take notes at the same time. So thank God there's something called reverse and play on the video or the podcast. So thank you for just giving us so much information.
Sure.
Again, it just reminds me again of how much information people are lacking. All of your websites that we're going to be checking out after this is overwhelming, to be honest with you. And I'm just kind of excited to start exploring. And it sounds like I'm hearing hormonal things are necessary to make this work. I'm hearing circulation is important to make this work. Any additional thoughts on how the circulation is so important for both men and women to achieve these heights of sexual pleasure that we're seeking?
I'd say ultimately the the more in shape you are, the more muscle you have, the more stamina you have, the more flexibility you have, the more balance you have, the more you get out and move your body and you eat
Yeah.
good food.
Yeah.
Those are the fundamentals. And the people who are in great shape are having super hot, fun, athletic sex with lots and lots of orgasms because they've got great blood flow, they've got great nutrition, they've got great flexibility, they've got great stamina. And so the more you can do the kinds of things that Dr. Hampton is always talking about on his show, the fundamentals of good nutrition and movement, that's really going to affect your sex life, and being willing to just know that you think about yourself as a lifelong learner of sexual techniques, and enroll your partner in being a learning person with you.
That's right.
Because your sexual growth and your personal growth are two sides of the same coin. So if you're personal growth oriented, which your listeners are,
Yes.
they want to learn. They want to know. Tell me the stuff I need to know that nobody told me. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here. That's why they're here. So we're all on the right track, and it can be overwhelming. But in a way, I've just taught you as you've listened, so many things that made perfect sense that you never thought about before. And you're like, right, that's why they act like that. Oh, that's why this bothered me. Oh, now that makes sense. I'm going to try a technique. It could be the soulmate embrace. It could be thrust in time. Maybe you're at magic pill method, getting stuff out on the table to have the conversation in a safe way that you're not going to lose. I don't know where you are, but wherever you are, I'll meet you there. That's Susan Bratton's goal, is to just, where you are, I'll be here for you. And there's always more. And you can take my ride and ride my ride to infinity and beyond.
Amen to that. And one of the things I learned in my nutrition and functional medicine was the importance of, having healthy bacteria in your body.
Yeah.
I typically have that conversation around your gut.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I learned from you that the vagina has to be concerned about that as well, not just to prevent infections, but for sexual health. That seems odd. So speak a little bit about the importance of a healthy microbiome in the vaginal area.
Yeah, well, the vaginal microbiome and the prostate microbiome are two very unique biomes, and they're delicate biomes. And really the best thing to think about is that all of your biomes are a connected system. That's the functional way. And so if your gut is off, your vagina is probably off. If you're eating white flour and you're drinking booze and you're eating fried foods and you're not getting your greens and you're not eating your healthy fats and you're eating sugar, then you're going to have SIBO and SIFO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, small intestinal fungal overgrowth. You probably have a candida yeast infection. You probably picked up some pathogens in your travels or from waters you've had, bad water you've drunk. And so everything starts in the gut. But the vagina and the prostate have their own microbiomes. And so as you're fixing your gut, and fixing your gut is a lifelong strategy, because you're drinking your kefirs and your kombuchas and you're eating your kimchis and your sauerkrauts and you're making your good yogurts with lots of bacteria colonizing in them at home, so that you're eating good bacteria and getting those in your gut. And you're eating your healthy meats and your healthy veg and your quality fats, your avocados and your nut oils and all of these things, your ghee and your grass-fed pasture-raised meats and all the things you can do. That is all going to support your gut with your prebiotics and your probiotics, your inulins, your chicories, your Jerusalem artichokes, all that stuff. You got to feed those things. Same thing in your vagina. It gets off, and you can actually put probiotics. You can take the probiotics out of the capsule, the women's probiotics. You can take them out of the capsule and powder them in your hand, put them in a little bit of any kind of, like a avocado oil, sweet almond oil, in a Kathy's healing lotion, anything you want. Make a paste and paste your vagina with it. And then use an irrigator. It's a douche bottle, but it's not the kind from the drugstore where it has chemicals in it. It's just you put water in a bottle with a nozzle, and the next morning you rinse your vagina out, and that can very quickly return your vagina to a good, solid microbiome. And that works very well for most women. They don't have to take, don't take antibiotics for your vagina. That's what's ruined it in the first place, is all the antibiotics, right? So try and steer clear of those as much as you possibly can. I understand there are times you have to take antibiotics, but really minimize that as much as you can, and try and use alternative modalities such as the yeast arrest borax capsules intravaginally and the intravaginal probiotics and things like that. And it should keep you in good working order. Good nutrition will reverse those problems too.
It's amazing how nutrition can provide answers. I know a lot of us want to use pills because they're quick and, they don't necessarily get to the root cause, but they seem to maybe help initially. Before meeting you, I don't know if I learned about Uberlube from just a random search, and I was just, trying to help patients understand what would help them. But I'm assuming, so just briefly, I know you mentioned using natural oils, but when people are looking for lubrication and they're, just searching randomly, and they find a product like Uberlube that seems to work, but, just comment a little bit more about why they should or shouldn't use those types of commercial products.
Here's my thing specifically around Uberlube. And I don't like to trash products generally.
Right.
So the thing is that's silicone. So it's a chemical made in a lab that is a synthesized material that's not found in our body, nor is it anything we would eat.
Yeah,
so it doesn't pass the Susan Bratton sniff test for lube. Does organic refined avocado oil pass the sniff test? Would I eat it? Hell yeah, I make my salad dressing with it. I call my salad dressing vinaigrette, the undressing dressing. It's because if you want to get a good erection, you better not be eating bottled salad dressings. They're full of guar gum and thickeners and all kinds of carrageenan and all kinds of, carrageenan's made from algae. Great, but I don't need to be thickened. I need to be thinned.
Right.
I'm always trying to go the other direction, lose it, get muscle, not fat. So if you say, okay, well, putting a silicone lubricant in your vagina, it's inert. Okay, it's inert, but what's happening when it's absorbed into my body?
Yeah.
Where's it all going?
Or the microbiome. It seems like it would impact that. It just has to, just logically.
I don't know if it does, but I don't know if it doesn't. And
Right.
That's why for me, I go back to the nut oils. I could eat it and it's gone. It goes through my system. It's a natural food ingredient. And so, but I don't recommend coconut oil. Because coconut oil, a lot of people use that as lubricant. And I think it's a bad idea for two reasons. Number one, it makes it like sticks to the vaginal mucosal proteins and makes little gritty things. But that's not the worst thing. The worst thing is that it's a natural antibacterial. And so you're putting an antibacterial, which is an antibiotic in your vagina. And then you're potentially disrupting the flora that are there. I don't want to do that. Where avocado oil and sweet almond oil and jojoba oil, none of those are antibacterial. So you can use them, ingest them, use them in your vaginal mucosa, and they won't disrupt anything. They're natural ingredients.
Perfect. Now, when people watch the video shorts we did for YouTube on VFit and the vacuum
FemiWave and Gainswave
so that's
and the
going to
Whopper
be,
pump.
but those were, so please guys watch those videos because I was pretty impressed with that information for women and the video for the guys. So, but it sounds like if those options work really well, you really won't necessarily need any lubrication because your body's just going to naturally do it. It's going to revive your ability to make your own natural lubricant. Is that generally what happens for most people or not necessarily?
I recently went through FemiWave and I'm having so wonderful lubrication, but I like to make love for a while. And so I might start out nice and wet, but after we've had intercourse for 5, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I
Mm-hmm.
do add lube on, but I just add a lot less now and I don't have to start out with it.
Got you.
So I think that's probably what I would say, is that it's just good to have lube around, especially for yoni massages, lingam
Mm-hmm.
massages,
Mm-hmm.
sensual massages, foot massages. Don't forget the foot massages. Us ladies, we
Amen.
like our foot
That's right.
massages, you know.
That's awesome. I like that answer because it's nice to have that safety net. But again, let's not stress out about just the body has to do it all by itself. It's nice to have that extra. But man, who's afraid of olive oil anyway? I mean, that's such a good thing to hear. So I will be advising my patients differently moving forward. And I really needed to hear that because that more aligns with my way of thinking anyway. So a couple of really quick little minor things I wanted to, not minor, but things I wanted to just ask you about real quick. And that's that men, the video we talked about that spoke about, making sure guys are bigger, strong,
Mhm.
harder, and they can improve their performance with that. But sometimes it's in their head, right? And there's this like performance anxiety. And you said that for women it's all in their head. A lot of it's in their head. Well, hell, it seems like for us guys it's also in our head. So how do we overcome performance anxiety in the bedroom? Because I know that's a big problem for a lot of guys.
Yeah. Men want to do a really great job and they're driven to be respected for the job that they do, and they want to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's the natural way of the man. And so it tends to, women are worried that they're going to have a good time, that they're going to be able to have an orgasm, that they're going to enjoy themselves. And men worry that she's going to do all that.
Right.
And that they're going to be able to get hard and stay hard and all that stuff. And so essentially, performance anxiety also really lends itself to premature ejaculation, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes guys come too fast. 95% of premature ejaculation, which affects 1 in 4 men, by the way, it's very, very
Mm.
common, is performance anxiety based. It's anxiety based. Guys projecting catastrophe into the future, or remembering something bad that happened, not staying present.
Mm-hmm.
And women's top 2 things they want from a male lover are good grooming, which
Mm-hmm.
guys are terrible at. Skanky Shrek toes in my
Mm-hmm.
bed, you know what I mean? Shave, get some smooth skin going, trim your
My wife
fingernails.
forces me to have. She likes the goatee though,
She
so
likes the goatee. That's
yeah,
good. Well, then she's happy.
that's right.
Scrub those fingernails, trim
That's
them
right.
down, no snaggles,
Okay.
that's what we want. But number 2 thing we want is presence. We want your presence and
Mm.
emotional connection. And when you're up in your head worried about stuff, you are not with us, and we know it. And
Mm.
so I have a free ebook called the Get Hard Book. It's at gethardbook.com, that has 3 techniques for performance anxiety. And they come from NLP, hypnosis, and sensate focus work.
Mm-hmm.
And they were created by one of my partners, Jim Benson, who he created a program called Multi-Orgasmic Lover for Men, which teaches men how to have unlimited stamina and last as long as they want, by reversing performance anxiety and reversing some of the things they've taught their body to do in masturbation practices that make them come too fast. So that is very good. GetHardBook.com has these 3 techniques from Jim in it, that if one of them doesn't work, that's okay. You got 2 more. So I like to give guys different solutions for the problem, because different guys are wired differently. So
Mm-hmm.
that you might like a lot as a way to kind of overcome that, but knowing that it is in your head, and knowing that so many men suffer from it, but that it's overcomable is the first step. Just trying the techniques.
Well, honestly, this whole conversation has been insightful. And I think we could talk for hours because it's a
I got to go make
topic.
meatloaf, Tony.
That's
You
right.
got to have some dinner, don't you?
That's
You're having
right.
such a busy day
It's
too.
been a crazy day, so I know we have to wrap up. And I think, but I want to. I'm saying that to say, um, you know, I want you to tell me how you're going to protect your nest. What are you going to focus on, for the next 12 months? I want to know how you're going to make sure you're healthy so we can learn more. And then I want you to share, what's the best way for people to get the content. But I said that because it's going to be important that people leave this conversation and go enjoy some of your content, whether it's your YouTube channel or all these freaking websites you have us going to, because there's so much to learn. I just encourage everybody to do that because it's so important. And man, life's going to be so much easier if we figure this out. So let's go to the protecting your nest theme. So when it comes to the elements of nutrition, exercise, less stress, more sleep, your thinking, relationships, avoiding organisms or pollutants that harm you, your emotions, your life experiences, where will Susan focus the next 12 months to get to your ideal state?
What I found is that every single one of those things works better when I work out every day. And I eat better, I sleep better, I'm kinder, my relationships are better, I work better, everything's better. It to me is it drives everything else. It's the engine of my nest. And I have a trainer that I work out with every single day.
Wow.
Even on Sundays, I have two trainers, depending on where I am. I go from a north house to I have two tiny houses in two locations rather than one big house. I like the beach and I like the mountains. And I have two trainers, and one of them even works with me on Sundays. The other one doesn't. But one of them does. And so I ride my bike on the days that I don't. So I really like working out every day and working on strength, building. I don't worry about my fat. I focus on muscle building, balance, flexibility, and stamina. I like to run the stairs and run the hills. And so at 61, I'm doing very, very well with my health because I've taken the money that I would have bought with shoes and restaurants and trips and vacations and all that stuff, and I put it into my health bank account. And I use my money on my trainers because they have changed my life. And what's so interesting is you start working out with a trainer every day, and you don't have to be in good shape to do it. I did it to recover from long haul COVID. And when I could finally get up out of bed and make it up a flight of stairs, I couldn't even make it up a flight of stairs for a while. When I could make it up one flight of stairs, I thought, I am ready. And I called a friend who was a trainer, and I was like, who do you think would be able to help me and would be super patient with me? And he goes, me. And I go, get on over here. Let's go.
That's right.
So I go to one studio with my one guy, Jake, who looks a lot like your younger son. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe how much they look alike.
Wow,
they're so
that's
cute.
Crazy.
And then my trainer comes to me at my other house, and he brings the weights and things like that to me because I'm at the beach. So we run the beach stairs up and down off the cliffs.
Cool.
So I'll tell you, I just absolutely love those guys. They have saved my life and given me my life back. And you're all about saving people. Tony, you're saving people's lives and getting people's lives back all the time. And it happens so fast. I mean, 10 weeks. I remember I said to my trainer, Surya, when I first started, I said, I can't believe how fast I've made progress. And he goes, honey, that's why they call it a 12-week transformation.
Right.
And I'm like, it doesn't even take that long. It's so amazing.
I love that. And I love your story, and it inspires me. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for
Thanks, Tony.
Just being on the planet, and I feel complete when I help people. And I think you're doing great work in the space you're in. So let's go ahead and wrap up with, I know we're going to share all the sites that you suggested, but any other sites you want us to share with the audience as we kind of wrap up our conversation?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Susan Bratton, Susan Bratton. I'm also at Personal Life Media. That's where I have thousands of articles published on every topic sexually that you could probably imagine. And there's a search box on the homepage. So I want to meet you where you are. I'll be there where you are. Yes. And then I also have a website called betterlover.com. which has hundreds of videos, how to give a yoni massage, passionate lovemaking step by step, all
Hmm.
kinds of wonderful things, including information about the penis pumps and the V-fits and all the things that we've been talking about, the Gaines wave, the Femi wave, vaginal restoration, penile rejuvenation, all of those things. So techniques as well as health advice, sexual health advice. What happens? How do I cure a UTI naturally? How do I cure a vaginal infection naturally? I mean, I just really like to,
Hmm.
I take a functional approach like you do. It's from the
Absolutely.
inside out we heal. Our bodies want homeostasis. And so how do we give it to them? We don't need no stinking pills.
We don't. And thank you again. So, and just for everybody listening, I got to know Susan a little bit before we recorded as we text back and forth. I'm, helping with my father-in-law, my wife. She's helping a friend, and we're both kind of let's change the time, and it just and it really worked out wonderfully because we literally became available right at the right time.
We did.
So although we have things to do like make meatloaf, and I have to go and eat the food that's already prepared, I just want to thank you for being here, your energy, your enthusiasm, and also thinking about the men and the women. I kind of feel like, although this is really about making sure we didn't forget about the women, I felt like it's really about the men because you taught them so much on how they can then be present for the women. So it's really a team sport. We got to do this stuff together. So thank you again, Susan, for spending some time with us today.
I've loved it. Thank you. You're a joy. And I've had so much fun. Thank you for
Thank
having me and helping me help others.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And just when the doctor thought he knew everything around the topic of sex, he realized he has a lot more to learn, as I'm sure many people watching will say as well. So I really am excited, and I encourage everybody to take advantage of the resources. Those links we'll share, Susan's YouTube channel, and just encouraging you to share that information with friends and family, because guess what? All of our friends and family are struggling in this area for the most part. So we want to
Yeah.
help them as much as possible. So let's make sexual health a priority in 2023. Let's put it at the top of our list, because if we fix that, just like Susan suggested, that exercise does wonders for her. If you get your sexual life in order, man, things are going to change. Remember the time when you were hanging out with your partner early in the relationship during that euphoria stage of the relationship, right? And it just seems like everything was perfect, but some of that was because you guys were having great sex. So let's get back to that. And I really encourage everybody to do just that. So I appreciate you guys for checking out this episode. I appreciate you for supporting the work we're doing to help others. And until we have another episode, I want to only ask that you continue to be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest. You've been listening to Protecting Your Nest with Dr. Tony Hampton. For more, visit drtonyhampton.com.